Sam lived on a quiet stretch of open land where the grass moved like waves whenever the wind passed through. His ranch was small, just a wooden house, a corral, and a shed that leaned slightly to the left because of an old storm that once pushed against it. Sam did not fix it yet, because he always had other work to do. He lived alone and had grown used to silence. The sound of his boots on dry soil, the creak of his saddle, and the steady breathing of his horse were the only company he had for many months. People in the nearby town knew him as the quiet cowboy who bought supplies and rode away without looking for trouble or friends. One warm afternoon, Sam was adjusting the fence near his corral. The sun hung high, pressing its heat on his neck, and sweat rolled down his back. He wiped his forehead with his sleeve and kept working. Just as he hammered a nail deeper into the wood, he felt the ground tremble lightly under his boots. He paused, listening. The faint but sharp rhythm of hooves echoed across the land. Someone was riding fast. Very fast. Sam turned and saw dust rising from the slope beyond his property. A rider appeared through the bright wind, moving like she belonged to the land itself. The horse was strong and quick, each stride smooth, as if it floated over the ground. As the rider came closer, Sam could see that it was a woman. Her dark hair tied loosely behind her, her posture firm and proud. She wore simple clothing made for travel and carried herself with the confidence of someone who had survived difficult paths. Sam straightened up. He rarely saw strangers on his land, especially riders who looked like they had a purpose. When she rode even closer, he noticed the patterns on her clothing and understood she was an Apache woman. He also understood she was not afraid, not even when she realized she was approaching someone's private land. Sam did not reach for a weapon, did not step forward aggressively. He only stood still and watched, curious and cautious at the same time. The woman slowed her horse as she neared the corral. Her horse snorted, shaking its head as it breathed hard. Sam stepped a little closer, careful not to startle her or her horse. He lifted his hand slowly, showing he had no intention of causing trouble. "You're far from the main trail," Sam said calmly. The woman studied him, her dark eyes sharp but not hostile. She took a moment to answer, as if measuring whether his words carried any hidden meaning. Finally, she spoke, her voice steady. "My horse needed water. I saw a stream on your land." Sam nodded. He could see the dust and sweat on the horse's body. It had traveled far. He pointed toward the back of the ranch, where a small stream ran down from the hills and cut through the property. "You can take your horse there. Water's clean. Plenty of shade, too." The woman watched him a moment longer, making sure he was being honest. When she felt certain he meant no harm, she guided her horse toward the stream. Sam stayed where he was, giving her space. He knew that trust was not something one asked for. It was something one earned by giving respect first, after watering her horse. The woman returned at a slower pace, letting the animal rest. Sam saw her stop near the edge of the corral. This time she spoke first. "I did not mean to cross your land without permission," she said. Sam shook his head. "It's fine. Anyone with a thirsty horse should stop. Land doesn't matter much when a creature needs help." The woman looked at him with a slight change in her expression, as if she was surprised by his simple kindness. She touched her horse's neck gently. "My name is Kiona." "Sam," he replied. They both stood silent for a moment. The wind brushed gently between them. Sam noticed the way Kiona scanned her surroundings with quiet alertness, as if she carried a story behind her eyes, a story he would never hear unless she chose to share it. To Sam's surprise, she did not ride away immediately. Instead, she asked, "You live here alone?" "Yes," Sam answered, leaning an elbow on the fence. "It's peaceful. Most days, anyway." Kiona looked around at the open land stretching in every direction. "It is peaceful," she agreed softly. "Quiet land makes a quiet mind." Sam smiled at that. He liked the way she spoke, direct but thoughtful. "Do you travel alone?" he asked, though he regretted it instantly, thinking it might sound too personal. But Kiona did not seem bothered. "Not always," she said. "My people move often. I come through this area for gathering herbs." "There are good plants in your hills," Sam nodded. Then you're welcome to pass through any time. I don't mind. Kiona raised an eyebrow slightly, as if surprised by his easy acceptance. You trust too quickly, she said. No, Sam replied. Just don't see a reason to start trouble with someone who hasn't given me any. Kiona held his gaze, and Sam realized her eyes were not cold. They were simply watchful, shaped by the life she lived. She had probably met many men who were not gentle with their words or manner. Sam didn't want to be another one of those. For a moment neither spoke. There was a strange but pleasant calmness between them. Sam didn't know what she was thinking, but he could feel that this meeting was not like the usual short exchanges he had with passing travelers. Kiona seemed like someone who carried her own strength, her own rules, did not fear standing alone. After a long pause, Kiona said, Your land. It feels safe. Sam didn't know what to say to that. Compliments were rare in his life, especially ones spoken so honestly. I try to keep it that way, he said quietly. Kiona gave a slight nod. She held the reins, ready to mount her horse again. Sam felt a faint disappointment rise in him, even though he knew their meeting had to end. She placed one foot in the stirrup, then paused and looked at him over her shoulder. Thank you for the water, she said. Any time, Sam replied. Kiona mounted gracefully, guiding her horse to turn toward the hills. Sam watched her ride away, the wind carrying her figure across the open land until she became a small moving shadow. He didn't understand why he kept watching long after she disappeared from sight. Maybe it was the silence that followed, heavier than before. Maybe it was the way she carried herself. Or maybe it was the strange feeling he got when she spoke, as if the emptiness around him had shifted for the first time in a long while. He returned to his fence work, but his mind stayed far away, replaying every small detail of their meeting. The sound of her voice, the steady calm in her eyes, the simple way she thanked him. It all stayed with him longer than it should have for a brief meeting with a stranger. That night, Sam sat on his porch, listening to the usual sounds of the land. But the silence felt different, softer. He wondered if he would ever see her again. He told himself not to think too much about it. Riders came and went. Life went on. But deep inside, he knew something had changed the moment she appeared on the horizon. Sam didn't know that Kiona, riding through the moonlit hills, was also thinking about him. Remembering the quiet cowboy who treated her with unusual respect, she didn't fully understand why she looked back once while riding away, even though Sam couldn't see her. She only knew that something about that simple ranch and the man who lived there stayed with her. Neither of them realized that this small meeting, so simple and quiet, was the beginning of a story that would test their hearts, their choices, and their courage in ways they didn't yet imagine. Kiona did not return the next day, and Sam tried to pretend he wasn't thinking about it. He spent the morning repairing the roof of his shed, but his mind kept drifting back to the moment she rode away. He wondered if she even remembered him or if he was just another stranger she passed during her travels. He told himself not to expect anything. She had her own life, her own people, her own world. A cowboy like him was just a small piece of dust in the wide desert. But on the third morning, while Sam was feeding the horses, he heard soft hoofbeats again, slow, steady, and familiar. He turned and saw Kiona riding toward the corral. This time, she wasn't moving fast. Her posture was calm, and her horse walked easily beside her. Sam didn't smile. Something warm moved inside him. Kiona stopped outside the fence and looked at him with a small nod. Your land is on my way today, she said simply. Sam didn't question her. You and your horse are always welcome, he said. Kiona dismounted, letting her horse drink at the trough. She walked over to Sam and watched him work for a moment. You fix everything around here yourself? She asked. Mostly, Sam answered. It's easier to do things alone. No one to argue with? Kiona gave a quiet laugh the first time he had heard her laugh. It surprised him how soft it was. But also no one to talk to, she said. Sam didn't argue with that. The truth sat heavy in the air between them. She looked around the ranch, studying it more closely this time. The worn boards on the barn, the dusty porch, the old saddle hanging on a nail. Sam suddenly felt self-conscious. as if she could see every corner of his lonely life. "I brought something," she said, reaching into a small leather satchel tied to her horse. She pulled out a bundle wrapped in cloth and handed it to him. When Sam opened it, he found dried berries and herbs mixed with fragrant leaves. "For tea," Kiona explained. "It gives strength." Sam looked at her, touched by the unexpected kindness. "Thank you. It smells good." "You work hard," she said. "Hard workers forget to take care of themselves." Sam raised an eyebrow. "How do you know that?" Kiona shrugged. "I see it." Sam didn't say anything for a moment. He didn't know why her words affected him, but they did. No one had ever spoken to him like that, noticing him, worrying even a little. It felt strangely comforting. They shared tea that morning. Sam boiled water, and Kiona mixed the herbs. They sat near the porch, drinking slowly, while Kiona's horse rested in the shade. Their conversation flowed more easily now. Kiona told him about trails she traveled and the plants she searched for in the hills. Sam told her about the stubborn mare he tried to train last spring, and how she kicked down the gate on her first night. Kiona's laughter came more naturally, and Sam found himself wanting to make her laugh again just to hear the sound. Her eyes softened when she listened, and when she spoke. Sam noticed she chose her words carefully, never wasting them after that day. She returned again, sometimes after 2 days, sometimes after a week. Her visits were never planned, never expected, but always welcomed by Sam, even if he tried to hide it. He started leaving water in the trough earlier in the mornings, just in case she came. He checked the fence near the stream more often, as if preparing for someone who might pass by. Kiona began trading with him. She brought herbs, dried meat, and small carved stones. Sam gave her fresh water, rope, and sometimes bread he baked himself. But the exchanges were only an excuse. What mattered was the time they spent talking. Small moments that slowly built a bridge. Between two lonely lives, one afternoon, they sat under the shade of a tree near the stream. The sky was wide and bright, and birds hopped through the branches above them. Kiona looked peaceful, almost relaxed. As she watched the flowing water, Sam found himself staring for a moment, then quickly looked away when she noticed. She tilted her head slightly. "Why do you look away so fast?" she asked. Sam cleared his throat. "Just didn't want to seem rude." "You're not rude," she said. "You're honest? That is different." Her words made him feel seen in a way he wasn't used to. He wanted to say something back, something kind, but the words got tangled in his throat. Kiona didn't push him. She just gave a small, knowing smile. Days passed like this, simple, quiet, steady. Sam began to feel like the ranch was no longer just his. It felt warmer somehow, as if her presence carried a gentle light with it. But with that warmth came a growing fear inside him, the fear of wanting something he didn't fully understand. One evening, after working all day in the heat, Sam saw Kiona riding toward him once more. Her hair moved with the wind, her posture upright and strong. She slowed her horse and looked down at him. "You look tired," she said. "I am," Sam admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's been a long day." Kiona dismounted and walked toward him. "Then rest. The land will wait." Sam sat on a wooden step right outside the barn. Kiona sat beside him. For a moment, neither spoke. They just breathed in the cool, early evening air. Sam's heart felt too full, as if something pressed against his ribs from inside. He didn't know how to explain it. He only knew he felt calm when she was near, and that feeling scared him in a quiet, unspoken way. And then Sam made a mistake. He didn't plan to say it. He didn't think it through. He was tired, lonely, and perhaps too comfortable with her presence. In a careless moment, he sighed and said something he regretted the instant the words left his mouth. "I wish we could share a bed sometimes," he said softly. Not thinking, not meaning anything wrong, just speaking out of worn-out honesty. It would make the nights less empty. The sentence hung in the air like dust frozen in sunlight. Kiona's body stiffened. Her face changed, not in anger, but in a deep, sharp disappointment. She looked at him as if she suddenly did not recognize him. Sam felt the weight of his mistake hit him hard. "I didn't mean it," like he started. But Kiona raised her hand slightly. "Sam," she said quietly, her voice steady but distant now. "I thought you respected me." "I do," he said quickly, standing up, shaking his head. "I do, Kiona." I spoke without thinking. Kiona took a slow breath, her eyes calm but wounded. "A woman's honor is not a small thing," she said. "Your loneliness is yours. It should not fall on me." Sam felt his chest tighten. "No. I'm sorry, truly." But Kiona didn't stay to listen. She mounted her horse with swift, controlled movements. She didn't shout or accuse him. She simply turned away, leaving him with a silence that felt heavier than any storm he had ever lived through. Sam watched her ride off, his heart sinking lower with each beat of her horse's hooves. He knew he had broken something fragile, something he had never even named before. The ranch felt empty again, painfully empty. And he knew the blame rested entirely on him. He stood alone in the quiet evening, replaying the moment over and over, wishing he could take the words back. He didn't want her for comfort. He didn't want anything unkind or disrespectful. He only wanted the closeness of someone he cared for. But he spoke like a fool, confusing honesty with thoughtlessness. He stayed awake late that night, listening to the wind scratch against the window. He realized how much Kiona had come to mean to him. And he also realized that if he didn't fix what he had broken, he might never see her again in the lonely silence of his small ranch house. Sam made a decision that would change everything. He would find her in the morning and make things right, not with excuses, but with truth and respect. Sam woke before sunrise, long before the sky even began to lighten. He hadn't slept much. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Kiona's hurt expression, the way her body stiffened when he spoke, and how she rode away without looking back. He kept thinking of the gentle moments they had shared, the quiet tea under the tree, the laughter, the trust slowly forming like a bridge between two lonely hearts. And now, all of that felt cracked, maybe even broken. He saddled his horse while the world was still dark. He didn't know exactly where to find her. She traveled far and often, sometimes through the hills, sometimes along the river trail, sometimes deep into the forest to gather herbs. But he knew her well enough by now to guess where she would go when she didn't want to be found easily. She had once mentioned a hidden clearing in the hills where she liked to rest her horse. Sam remembered every word she had ever said, even the small ones. He guided his horse into the open land, the cool wind brushing his face. His heart beat fast, not because of the ride, but because he didn't know what he would do if she refused to speak to him. He couldn't blame her if she did, but he wasn't ready to give up. He thought about what he would say. He wanted to apologize again, clearly, humbly, honestly. He wanted her to know he respected her, that he had spoken foolishly, not because he saw her in the wrong way, but because he had mistaken his own loneliness for something else. As he climbed higher into the hills, the sun finally rose, painting orange light across the rocks and bushes. He searched for hoofprints, broken branches, any sign she had passed through. After an hour, he found faint prints leading to a narrow trail between two large boulders. His heart sped up. He followed the trail carefully, hoping he was not too late. He slowed his horse when the trail broadened into a flat stretch of packed dirt. He recognized the place, a quiet area where the land curved inward, protected by tall rocks and scattered trees. And there, riding ahead at a calm pace, was Kiona. Her long dark hair lifted slightly in the breeze. Her horse walked relaxed, unaware of the tension weighing down the rider's shoulders. Sam felt both relief and fear. He didn't want to frighten her, and he didn't want her to think he was chasing her in an aggressive way. He slowed down and called her name softly. Kiona. Her horse stopped at the sound of his voice, but she didn't turn around right away. Sam could see her shoulders rise and fall slowly, as if she was taking a breath to keep her emotions steady. After a long moment, she finally turned her head, just enough to see him out of the corner of her eye. "You followed me?" she said quietly. "Yes," Sam admitted. "I needed to talk to you." Kiona faced forward again. "I had nothing more to say to you." Sam swallowed, feeling the weight of her words, but he didn't back away. He nudged his horse a little closer, staying a respectful distance. I know I hurt you, he said. I know I spoke wrongly. I came to tell you I'm sorry, not because I want forgiveness, but because you deserved better from me. Kiona didn't move. Her silence felt sharp, like a knife cutting through the morning air. Sam felt his heart beating in his throat. Kiona, please, he said softly. Let me say what I need to say. Her horse shifted its weight, and she finally looked at him fully. Her eyes weren't angry. They were steady, controlled, but there was pain hidden underneath. Words matter, Sam, she said. A careless word can break trust. I know, he replied quickly, and I broke yours, but I didn't mean to. I didn't think I spoke out of loneliness, not disrespect. Kiona stared at him, unreadable. Loneliness is not an excuse. No, Sam said quietly. It's not. I just want you to know that I didn't say those words because I see you wrongly. I see you as someone strong, someone I admire, someone who deserves only respect. Her expression changed just a little, not forgiveness, but something softer than before, as if she heard the truth in his voice, even if she wasn't ready to accept it. She turned her horse slightly, perhaps thinking of riding away again. But at that moment, her horse stepped on a loose patch of dirt near the edge of the trail. The ground crumbled under its hoof. The horse jolted, lifting its front legs in panic. Kiona lost her balance. Sam reacted without thinking. He kicked his heels into his horse's sides, rushing forward. As Kiona fell backward off her saddle, Sam leaned dangerously from his own horse, reaching out with both arms. He grabbed her around the waist, just before she hit the ground. The force almost pulled him off his horse, but he held tight, pulling her toward him until they both slid safely to the ground together. They landed on their feet, but only just. Kiona gasped, shocked by the sudden fall, and even more shocked by Sam's swift reaction. Sam stepped back immediately, letting his hands fall to his sides. He didn't want to frighten her or make her think he had pulled her in for any other reason. Are you hurt? He asked, breathing hard. Kiona shook her head slowly, still catching her breath. Her eyes were wide, her heart clearly racing. You risked yourself, she said quietly. I wasn't going to let you fall, Sam said, his voice firm but gentle. Kiona looked at him, her expression shifting again. Something inside her seemed to soften, not completely, but enough to let air move through the tightness between them. Sam took one careful step back, giving her space. I'm sorry, he said again, his voice low. I spoke like a fool, but I would never harm you, never disrespect you. I just care more than I understood before. Kiona didn't answer. She walked slowly to her horse, calming it by stroking its neck. Sam waited, not moving, not pushing. The wind whispered through the grass around them. The sun warmed the rocks. Everything felt still, as if the land itself was watching them. After a long, silent moment, Kiona said quietly, You pulled me from falling. Yes, Sam said. And yesterday. Your words cut deeply. I know, he whispered. Kiona took a slow breath. Your actions today speak louder than your words yesterday. Sam felt a small flicker of hope rise inside him, though he did not dare show it. Kiona finally turned toward him fully. She didn't smile, but her eyes lost the sharpness they held before. Walk with me, she said softly. Only walk. Nothing more. Sam nodded. As long as you want. They walked side by side through the quiet hills, leading their horses by the reins. They didn't talk much at first. They didn't need to. The silence between them felt different from before. Not heavy, not angry, but filled with something unspoken and trembling gently. After a while, Kiona said, Trust can break, but sometimes it can be made again. I'll do whatever it takes, Sam said. I don't need promises, she replied. I need truth, and today you showed truth. Sam nodded, grateful beyond words. They kept walking as the sun rose higher, lighting their path in soft golden colors. Kiona didn't forgive everything at once. She didn't suddenly open her heart again, but she didn't shut him out either. She allowed him to walk beside her, and that alone meant more to Sam than anything else. Whatever came next, he knew he would earn it with respect, patience, and honesty. And for the first time since she rode away the day before, Sam felt a small, quiet hope blooming inside his chest. a hope that their story wasn't broken, it was only beginning. Sam and Kiona walked for a long time through the quiet hills, letting the morning settle around them like a soft blanket. Their horses followed slowly, the reins loose in their hands. The silence between them was no longer heavy or painful. It felt gentle, like a field after rain. Sam didn't rush to speak. He didn't want to break the calm that was building between them. He only stayed by her side, careful with every step. Kiona stopped once they reached a wide-open hilltop, where the grass moved gently with the wind. She stood there for a moment, watching the horizon. Sam stopped beside her. Her hair moved lightly across her cheeks, and she pushed it back with a quiet breath. She didn't look at Sam yet, but her voice came soft. "You came after me," she said. "I had to," Sam replied honestly. "I couldn't let things end with you thinking I don't respect you." Kiona lowered her eyes for a moment. "Respect is the first thing I look for in a person. When it breaks, everything else shakes." "No," Sam said. And I shook it. Kiona looked at him then, and her gaze was calm, not angry. "Your words yesterday hurt. But today, your actions showed a different truth. You pulled me from falling with everything you had." Sam shook his head slightly. "I didn't think. I just saw you falling, and I moved." "That is how truth shows itself," Kiona said. "Not in fancy words. In the things people do without thinking." Sam took a slow breath. "If there's a way to fix what I broke, I want to do it. Slowly, carefully. Your trust matters to me." Kiona studied him quietly. "Trust doesn't come back all at once," she said. "It grows again, small at first. But if you care for it, it becomes strong." "And I will care for it," Sam said softly. "Every day." Kiona didn't respond right away. She walked a few steps ahead, her hand brushing the tall grass. Sam stayed close behind, giving her space. She stopped near a small tree and gently touched the rough bark with her fingertips. "You know," she said, "I don't let many people close. My life has taught me to be careful." Sam nodded. "I understand. But with you," she continued, "I felt something different. Safe? Maybe. Tom." Sam felt a warm ache in his chest. "I felt the same," he said. "I didn't know how lonely I'd become until your visits made the days feel shorter." Kiona turned toward him slowly. "Then why would you speak the way you did yesterday?" Sam let out a long breath, looking at the ground. "Because I'm human, and I was tired, and I let the wrong words come out of my mouth. Not out of desire or disrespect, just out of tired honesty. But it wasn't fair to say them to you." Kiona studied him a long moment. Then she nodded once. "And today, you showed me who you truly are." Sam hoped that meant she was healing from the hurt. He didn't expect a full forgiveness, but even a small step meant the world to him. Kiona walked back toward him slowly. "Come," she said. "Let's return together." They mounted their horses and rode side by side, not rushing, letting the land guide them. The wind blew softly, carrying the scent of wildflowers and warm earth. Sam felt peace settling in him for the first time since she rode away the day before. When they reached Sam's ranch, Kiona dismounted and looked around slowly, as if seeing the place with new eyes. The corral stood quietly, the water trough still glistening from the early morning refill. The small house looked simple but warm, the sunlight touching the edges of the porch. "This place," Kiona said, "feels like it holds stories." Sam smiled slightly. "Most of them are boring. Just me fixing fences and talking to horses that don't listen." Kiona shook her head softly. "I don't think your life is boring. I think it is steady. And steady things can be good." Her words touched him more deeply than he expected. He felt lighter, as if she had returned a part of him he didn't know he lost. Sam tied his horse and walked with Kiona toward the porch. He didn't invite her inside. He didn't want to break her trust again by rushing anything. Instead, he sat on the step, and she joined him quietly. They talked for a long time about simple things: the weather, the animals, the land. But underneath those simple topics, something else was growing. Something gentle and honest. At one point, Sam looked at her and said, "I want to say something clearly. I don't want anything from you except your trust. Not comfort. Not closeness you're not ready for. I want to earn your respect every day. Kiona looked at him with a calm expression. Respect is not something you must fight for with me anymore, she said softly. You already showed it today. Sam felt a warmth rise in his heart again. But I'll still keep earning it, he said. I want to. Kiona didn't speak for a moment. Then she nodded once. Good. The afternoon light softened around them. Kiona rose and walked to her horse. Sam stood too, wondering if she was about to leave again. But she didn't mount her horse right away. She turned back toward him. I will come again, she said. Sam felt something settle inside him, relief, hope, gratitude. Whenever you want, he said. You're always welcome. Kiona stepped closer, her eyes steady. I want to take things slow, she said quietly. I want to know you more. Understand you more. I want you to understand me too, Sam nodded. I would like that more than anything. And this time, Kiona added gently, no careless words. Sam smiled. No careless words. I promise. Kiona studied him as if deciding whether to say something more. Then she took a small breath and said, When you pulled me from the fall today, I saw the truth in your heart. That truth matters more to me than what you spoke yesterday? Sam swallowed, emotion rising in his chest. You matter to me, he said softly. Kiona didn't look away. And you matter to me too. Enough that your mistake hurt, and enough that your actions healed. Sam felt the world soften around him, as if everything finally made sense again. Kiona finally mounted her horse. She looked down at him with a calm expression that held a quiet warmth. I will return in a few days, she said. We will walk again. Sam tipped his head. I'll be here. She rode away slowly, the sunlight catching on her hair. This time, Sam didn't feel the heavy emptiness he felt before. Instead, he felt a peaceful promise settling inside him. She wasn't running away. She wasn't lost to him. She was choosing her own pace, and choosing to let him be part of her days again. When she disappeared beyond the hills, Sam turned toward his ranch with a new sense of purpose. The land looked brighter, the wind gentler. He walked to the corral with renewed energy, fixing what needed fixing, caring for the animals, preparing his home not for a guest, but for a future that no longer felt lonely. He realized something important that day. He didn't want to share a bed before marriage. He didn't want comfort or company without meaning. He wanted a life, a real, honest, shared life with someone he respected deeply. And now he understood that such a life could only grow from patience, kindness, and trust. Kiona had given him a second chance. Sam knew he would not waste it. Their story, once shaken, was now steady again, like two hearts learning to walk the same path, one careful step at a time.